Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. As always, I thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Hopefully you find them informative. And when you go to your local bookstore, you will consider the book that I'm about to review for you. And the book this time out is This Band Has No Past, How Cheap Trick Became Cheap Trick by Brian J. Kramp. This is published by Jawbone Press and it retails for $35.50. Most people are familiar with the band Cheap Trick. Their hits came in the 1970s and 1980s. And the ones most people would remember would be I Want You to Want Me, Dream Police, and Surrender were three of their biggest million-selling hits. And they had quite a few. They were put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2016. So the band members at the time were Rick Nielsen, Tom Peterson, Bun E. Carlos, and Robin Zander. Now, the band Cheap Trick, in the liner notes, it talks about that they really were a band with no name at one time. The members of the band came from several different groups, like the Grim Reapers, the Boll Weevils, the Sick Men of Europe, and the Fuse. And they all came together eventually. Now, how the name Cheap Trick came about. Tom Peterson says that at a Slade concert, he said Slade used every cheap trick in the book to be part of their act. So the name Cheap Trick somehow came about and it stuck. Now, in the book, Brian J. Kramp talks about how they got together, of course, and their early years. And during their earliest years, their performances, pretty well 100% of the time, were all cover songs from other groups. And he mentions the playlist of all the songs, and they were, yes, familiar songs that other bands had done. Now, suddenly they started around 1976 or so writing their own songs. And it was a slow process, but they had a fairly large inventory songs. And when they began, the fans demanded certain songs. Now, in the book, it's very thorough, perhaps too thorough in spots, because they talk about their smaller group, their smaller venues that they performed in, a lot of those. And they also talked about other bands that were up and coming when they were up and coming. And it's pretty well a name drop of, hundreds of bands that were around in the early 70s and progressed through the early 80s. Now, also, there are about 2 or 3 pages filled with glowing quotes from the media, from newspapers, saying the band is great, the album's great. So perhaps it's in spots, it's like, it's fine to have a few, yes, the band is great, but to have like 3 pages full of quotes of great stuff, new band, look out for them. Yeah, but Cheap Trick certainly became, not a household name. Most people who grew up in the 70s and 80s would be familiar with them. A lot of people of today's music likely wouldn't know who they were. But in this band, or in the book, This Band Has No Past, the author does go into great detail, excessive detail at times, but that's fine. Hardcore music lovers who love all kinds of music might find this informative. And of course, those of you who grew up with Cheap Trick and had all their albums, you will find this very informative as well, and you might want to add it to your collection. It is a book you should consider. I won't say it's the worst book I've read. It's not the best book I've read. But it is a book that will appeal to fans of Cheap Trick, and there were millions of them. So that's the book I wanted to draw to your attention this time out. Hopefully, you might agree with me, you might not. And if you do buy the book, let me know if you do agree with my review. So, thank you as always for taking the time to watch my video. Hopefully you'll be back for the next one, which will be very soon. And as always, I say stay safe and stay sane. And do stay in touch. And once again, thank you so much for your time. Bye for now.